killer didn't tape Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were torturing him.
The reason Nagito's body was covered with...
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
So that's why he was so beat up.
What were they trying to find out by torturing him? Definitely the bomb's hiding place.
If so, the suspect is whoever found the bomb first!
That was Fuyuhiko.
I found it by coincidence. There's no way I'd torture someone.
The killer didn't tape Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were torturing him.
The reason Nagito's body was...
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
No, that's wrong.
But Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape, so he wouldn't have been able to confess if he was being...
I'm prepared. I just realized it. It's a trap.
Trap?
Stupid Hajime. Like you said, if Nagito's mouth was taped shut, you obviously assume he couldn't talk, right? But that was the trap. They wanted to hide the fact that he got interrogated.
I can't back down.
But if you tape his mouth shut, how is he supposed to answer anything?
Pay attention. This is how it went. First, the killer tortured and got information about the bomb's location. Then, after they killed him... Crap! Pay attention. This is how it went down. First, the killer tortured Nagito and got information about the bomb's location. Then, after they killed him... Pay attention! This is how it went down. First, the killer tortured Nagito and got information about the bomb's location. Then, after...
Allow me to cut through those words.
No, there's no doubt Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape before he was beat up.
What did you say?
Who cares about the duct tape?
We don't need to play a game. It's clear the duct tape was on his mouth before the torture even...
Why do you always side with Hajime? Do you have a crush on him or something?
You were with us when I peeled the duct tape off Nagito's... The blood on Nagito's face wasn't under the duct tape, remember?
The blood on his face came from his arm wounds, which means the duct tape was on his face before his arms were even wounded.
And the duct tape had a lot of crinkles around his mouth. He must have been struggling to open his mouth under the...
Perhaps the duct tape was used so he wouldn't be able to scream. Then it's like I said at the beginning. The tape wasn't for torture. It was to keep his mouth shut.
However, if they wanted to seal his mouth,
They probably had a deep grudge.
then, are you saying the killer was trying to make him suffer?
If so,
Friggin'
No, they didn't just go crazy. If not, they wouldn't have taken the time to set fire to the crime.
We can't think of any other reason.
But who could have done that? When the fire occurred, everyone in this room was gathered in front of the warehouse.
yeah. And right after I opened...
Which means,
The killer isn't one of us.
Even if it was only a coincidence.
based on the pattern, we should suspect that some kind of I do...
That's our Miss Sonia. You have such an Alrighty then. Let's think about this based on what Miss Sonia...
Damn right it is! The direct cause of the fire was... the oil lighter found at the crime scene, right?
The killer used some kind of setup. He lit the curtain on fire with the lighter.
Some kind of setup?
Did they use the oil as an improvised fuse?
They probably just threw the lighter.
Based on the shape of that oil, it can stand upright while the flame...
If they tipped over the lighter, it could have ignited the curtain.
Some way?
Maybe they used invisible thread.
There should have been a way to tip it over with sound waves.
The direct cause of the oil lighter found at
The killer used something and lit the curtain on fire.
some kind of setup.
Did they use the oil?
They probably just based on the shape it can stand up
If they tipped over, it could have ignited the curtain.
some way. Or maybe they used invisible.
There should have been a way to
Or perhaps opening the door caused.
I agree with that.
I also agree that opening the door is what started the fire.
Just as I thought. It was the wind pressure. A dust devil blown here from glorious Japan!
No, not wind pressure. They probably used...
Does that mean anything?
The killer probably arranged those Monokuma panels to create a domino effect.
A domino effect. You mean those tiles kids play with by lining them up?
In place of those tiles, the killer used the Monokuma. So when we opened the warehouse door, the first panel toppled into the second. And from there, they fell like dominoes until they reached the lighter at the end.
But wouldn't it be obvious that those big panels were falling over?
That's probably why they turned off the lights in the warehouse, so we wouldn't notice them.
So the reason the warehouse was dark was to...
And one more thing. There was something else the killer did to hide the domino.
I see!
You're talking about the MP3 player, right? That hymn blaring through about the warehouse masked the sound of the falling panels.
That's it. So the strange sound was actually the sound of the panels falling.
But those sounds weren't the only strange thing, right? Looking back on it, it was also strange when we opened the door to the warehouse.
So the door was being blocked by a
And when we opened the... Yeah,
You don't look so sure.
at the time, Akane...
because the panel...
But the block...
Is
It...
I see!
If the panel was so close to the door that it could barely be opened, the killer inside the warehouse wouldn't be able to...
Does that mean they were hiding inside?
who? We were all outside the warehouse, you...
Based on the patterns up until now, you don't have to think so hard.
You don't mean...
Hajime...
This is my answer! What if it was Nagito?
Why'd you bring him up? He's the victim, you know.